With me today on Tech Chat with Ashlim Fit is a data science consultant who currently works with Accenture UK. Chukwudum, also known as Chuks to many, holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Federal University of Technology, MENA, Fort MENA, and also a master's in mechanical engineering from the University College London. Chuks is also currently rounding up a master's degree in business analytics from the Imperial College London, while he's also concluding his chartered accounting studies under the ACCA qualification. In this video, we're going to have a chat about how Chuks transitioned from working in engineering, project management, and digital transformation to working as a data science consultant in one of the biggest consulting firms in the UK. This video is for you if you are looking forward to or you're in the process of transitioning into tech as a data scientist. You're going to learn one or two things from a data science consultant who also actually transitioned, right? And also some of the courses you need to take, some of the things you need to pay attention to, and also learn from Chuks. Thank you so much, Chuks. Thanks for doing this with me. And I know you've been in the UK for a while, currently working with Accenture and all of that. But let's start from way back. So let's go deep into your background. How did you start? What did you study in school? I mean, in university? How did you come to the UK and all of that?
Okay, so yeah, I'll start from the beginning, even though I'll try to summarize.
Yeah.
So, for starters, my bachelor's degree was in mechanical engineering,
Okay.
and I was one of those few people who originally got into mechanical engineering with the mindset of studying robotics. I wanted to build robots. And then,
But what was the inspiration behind that?
I guess because growing up, I didn't have toys as a child. Growing up
Okay.
in a house where when you see toys, the parents don't have money,
Yeah.
and they'll buy during Christmas. During Christmas, they'll ask you, "Are you not eating fish? Are you not eating meat?" So you don't need a toy. But I just saw it on TV and I liked, it, and I told myself, okay, what kind of role would be producing toys? And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I originally wanted to be a carpenter. My goal in life was to be a carpenter. And then,
But thinking of it, carpenters are actually making a lot, especially in the
exactly,
Western world. Yeah.
exactly. So I remember I told my dad what I wanted for my gift for, I think, for one of my birthdays was plane, was jack plane and saw and hammer and chisel. So that's what I wanted. Exactly. And my dad was like, okay, yeah, he has heard me. He's going to think about it. And he kept thinking and thinking and all of that. So eventually I saw some things where people were making toys, and I liked it, and I did a couple of them, and the whole idea of mechanical engineering came to mind. Like I said, it was supposed to be robotics, but at the time I couldn't find a robotics school. So I decided, okay, mechanical engineering. I wanted it in University of Technology. And so I chose FUT Mina. And then when I got into FUT Mina, it was interesting because
Foot me now.
FUT Mina,
Okay.
yeah, Federal University of Technology Mina. So it was interesting because when I now got in, it was now a case of, okay, you're doing the work and it's not looking as interesting as it was anymore. You had studied a lot of calculus and you're now too many exactly. You're not like the whole hand thing. They will just pick
But
you.
why is it like that, though? I mean, Nigerian university, I don't know if it's a thing with Nigerian universities, right?
Mhm.
And most of the mechanical engineering and even computer science courses end up doing lots of mathematics, engineering, math, and
Exactly.
all of that. But, I mean, that's not a topic for today.
So with that, we now went in and I did that. We went into workshops, did the metal work,
Yeah.
and all that. And I was like, you know what? I just want to just finish this course. I wasn't dreaming of being a robot. I think if this is what it involves, I wasn't dreaming of it anymore. Let's just get this thing done with. I remember at the time, okay, when I started, as I was going along with the program, and we now got to a point where, okay, pocket money, you want to send money from, like, get money from home, and the expense, there's no money at home. So from there, I found myself interested in doing some business courses, and not really business courses. Started doing some small business in the school. And I was like, okay, computer. Started doing computer printing and binding,
Okay.
and then from there, I got officially confused because I wanted to do the whole robots thing. I liked the whole robots thing. Got in, there was so much math, metal work, and all that. And now that I was doing the business, I liked the whole idea of learning about computers when they get spoiled, which they did a couple of times, printers, getting to repair them.
Fixing them.
Exactly. And then the whole business of just running a business and making some extra cash by the side. And then by the time I was getting towards the end of school, of course, my grades were a combination of I was very high at some point and my GPs were doing backflips, but somehow I, still managed to graduate a strong 2-1. And then when I was now in my final year, I was not sure what I wanted to do anymore. I liked mechanical engineering a bit just because there was still some things that they mentioned, and especially all the economic side of things. Um, and the maths was okay, but there were just some things in engineering that was very scary. And then I started the computer side and I genuinely liked it because I could see how in real time it helped me to add some extra cash, take care of some bills, and also the business. It was running a business, and I felt like okay, it's a big idea to have a business. Now, taking it to when I was now getting ready to round up, I finished, and I was like, okay, so what do I do next? I wasn't sure exactly what to do. And I'm saying this story to those out there who may be in the university or may have finished and are in the place of being confused, like they're confused, they don't know what direction to take. What someone told me was just take it one step at a time, and really that's what I did. So even though now I'm in data science, I have been privileged to go through quite a lot of things. So, like I mentioned, mechanical engineering, I dabbled into doing the printing and binding and all. Did business, exactly, had the business center. And then at some point, I started liking business. And I found myself going into reading about accounting. Yeah, so just because I just wanted to, I was just taking it one step at a time. Then I did some courses in Oracle database administration.
All this in your final year or after school?
In my final year, it was my final year ending. Did some Oracle database administration, and honestly, I had zero ideas of how they were ever going to meet
Or what the purpose
or what
of
exactly at that point.
future.
Exactly, I just okay for the Oracle database. I just wanted to learn about SQL, learn about Oracle database, concepts, data architectures, and I was just picking them up, and I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know where I was ever going to use it. And then when I now finished, I felt like I wanted to use the data that I learned from Oracle, and everywhere I applied to, they told me that it's not possible that that certificate is my certificate because because yeah, that the certificate is bigger than me, and I was like, what does that even mean? This is my passport. This is my name. And I didn't get that opportunity.
Wow.
So from there, it was more a case of okay, I was trying to find how to apply the data that I had learned. There wasn't anything tangible. The accounting, we're still learning it. We're passing some, we're failing some, and at trying to apply for jobs in any of those areas, not engineering, because I was like, okay, maybe this is not for me. But nothing was forthcoming, right? So I decided, okay, let's just go through the normal process. Went through, stayed at home for a bit before NYSC, then got into NYSC. Then there was a choice of teaching in a polytechnic in Ondo State. And they had the mechanical engineering department and the technology, the IT department. And I decided it was the IT department I was going to. The mechanical engineering department, they wanted me to be a welder. And after my experience in welding, where it looks like you have 1,000 pins in your eye, I'm like, no, I wasn't going to do that. So went into the technology side and worked as a back-end developer, just helping them build up systems and infrastructures.
With what language or programming?
Okay, so it was majorly at the time, it was more of what do you call this, bash scripting, like more system administration kind, and also hardware engineering. So my little experience in the whole repairs of fixing printers and exactly came in very handy there, helping them set up the lab, the computer lab that we
And
had at the
also
time.
the experience, the learnings from your
Oracle, yeah,
also
exactly. Especially when if we're interacting with databases.
So that sorry to
Yeah,
cut you. I mean, so one thing I've picked from here from previous interviews I've had is the fact that it's not enough to just go to school to study, whatever. Also go the extra mile of acquiring some certain relevant courses that
Mm-hmm.
would be applicable to your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because same thing with myself and some of my colleagues back then in school. We didn't come to science, but there were a couple of times, or there were a number of times that we needed to still go out and register for courses. I mean, especially computer science or coding courses
Mm-hmm.
that later in life actually helped. I mean, it's not just there are some things they won't teach you, or there are some
That's
things
true.
that your university will not even teach you. I mean,
Very
just
true.
try to chip that in.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. That's very true. So it's also to those who will be listening. There is always the place, no matter how great the curriculum of your school is, no
Please,
matter,
yeah,
or there is always value in deciding what it is you want to do and going the extra mile
pursuing
to
it,
pick
yeah,
exactly pick the courses, pick the certifications that will be relevant to make you competitive in that space.
yeah.
And that was it for me. Yeah,
Oh,
in terms of my background and all of that.
yes. So after NYC, so what was it like for you? So I mean, after NYC, most people want to always look forward to getting their first job. So
Mm-hmm.
what was your own first job, and especially in what field was your first job? Knowing that there's so, I mean, you have so many backgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, after the NYSC, there was a staying at home where you admire the ceiling. You are wondering
What
what
will happen
happened
next?
exactly,
God, show your face.
exactly. Where people that you've encouraged in school that there's nothing God cannot do, we call you and say, "Ah, brother, what is happening?
What is
Is God
happening?
not doing
God is not
anything?"
doing it for you.
So that happened, and it was a very trying period.
I can
And
imagine.
really shout out to one of my classmates at the time that was kind enough that I stayed at his place, and I stayed at his place, trying to look for work at some point. And when there is so much hunger that your hunger turns to fasting, there's nothing, money cannot buy anything, and eventually, just praying and working hard, applying, getting rejected, and that kept on and on. And eventually I now got a job with Honeywell Flour Mills.
Okay.
It was on the Honeywell Management, it's called Honeywell Excellence Management Program, and they do the rotation. And I remember when I got it, I was so excited, I was so happy. While the people I was staying with were just so happy, they're going to get semolina, they're going to get bread.
Their own, that's their own, that's
as
their own
in,
problem.
as
That's the problem
in,
with society do that.
exactly. So with that, it was a wonderful one because I started first as a miller, got to understand how they grind wheat and make all those products, and did that for a while. Then moved into supply chain, where I focused on understanding how this wheat is gotten into the country, what were involved, the bills of contract, the bills of lading, and I was really excited about the possibility of going deeper into supply chain. And then I got the opportunity of a scholarship to go and study mechanical engineering again at UCL, University College London. And it was now the choice of, okay, do I want to keep on with this supply chain or go outside the country, gain advanced knowledge and study
So sorry.
a
So
field
I mean, let me
yeah,
just
yeah.
chip in. So while doing your supply chain management work at
Mhm.
Honeywell, right? So I mean, you were applying for scholarships, right, in that
Yes,
period. Okay.
actively. And the
Sorry,
reason,
let me
yeah,
do
go
one
ahead.
aspire to perspire now.
Okay.
So it's not enough to just be comfortable with what you are doing currently. Don't see it as the end of the road. Don't see it like I've struggled from NYC, then I've seen this, and I've arrived. You've not arrived. You only just started, right?
Mhm.
Sit down, look for more opportunities. I mean, with this story in Chief's situation, he didn't stop at working at supply chain, whatever. Anytime he gets home or he had the opportunity, to also applying for scholarship, right, outside the country. So that's how he got into UCL, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. And so I got into UCL, and I remember the first time I got into UCL and they started the courses. I was wondering, what happened? Like, it's like I miswrote to fall into this place. Everybody was super brainy, super intelligent, and but I kept telling myself, you know what? For you to be part of this group of people, you also have what it takes.
yeah,
And that is very real, especially when, from maybe our backgrounds,
yeah,
you may find yourself in a situation where everyone expects you to be humble, be calm, don't show yourself, and all that. Whereas you are in an environment where people need to know what you bring to the table,
yeah.
and everyone is speaking out loud. And it's still something that I'm working on to show clearly the value that I bring. So people understand that I might be calm, but I actually bring a lot of value to the situation that is being talked at hand. And having to deal with that, contribute in group projects, and in a very fast-paced curriculum. And UCL is one of the top institutions in the world, and studying there with very intelligent people was something that I actually had to deal with, fighting or what people call the imposter syndrome, and making sure that I'm able to learn what I'm being taught, and being able to also contribute value to the people that I'm meeting. So that happened for 1 year. And even during the period of studying at UCL, there was no license that because I was privileged to study at a top institution, that there were jobs waiting for me. The competition was still very real. So from the first day, I remember when I got into UCL, when I dropped my bags, the first question I asked was, where's the careers office? I wanted to know where the careers office was. So I went there, okay, how do you do CV, cover letter, and started getting to make friends, attending classes, workshops. And as God will have it, I got the opportunity just towards the end of my program to get the opportunity with Chevron.
That's back in Nigeria.
Back in Nigeria.
Okay, so you were doing all the application.
Yeah, I was trying different options. Okay. Ideally, I wanted to be able to stay, but it was difficult because there was a case of, at the time, there was the resident labor market test. They have to check if there are no residents of the EU, of the UK that can do that same job before they consider outside those from outside international countries.
And I'm not sure they do post-study.
At the time, there was no post-study visa. So it was really difficult, really like applying and getting rejected, or getting accepted and getting to the point and they say, oh, because the rules from the Home Office has changed, we can't sponsor you and all that. So it was really difficult. So I was applying for multiple options, and eventually even the Chevron one was the very last minute. And when they called me to say congratulations, I was confused. I was crying on the phone. It was like a dream, and I felt privileged. But even before the offer came from Chevron came, I was still working on making myself job market ready. And I read about how mechanical engineers, in addition to doing the engineering, you needed to understand a little about project management. I wanted a situation where wherever I was going to, there was some value that I could bring beyond just, okay, I've studied engineering. Every other person has studied engineering. What would exactly? What would exactly? So with that, I got the opportunity to get a small scholarship within UCL again to help me study the APM. It's called the Association for Project Management. So it's one of the certifications within the UK.
How long was it?
So it was everything happened in under 2 months.
Okay.
So it was an intensive course, and I was privileged that UCL was one of the centers for writing the exam and that taught the course. So that really helped me.
So all of that happened before you then moved back to Nigeria?
Exactly, before I even got the Chevron offer. Exactly, because I even remember in the final interview that was supposed to be very hectic, I had the final project management exam the day before, and just preparing for the exam, which was notoriously difficult to pass, and the Chevron, it just felt like I was either going to get one or the other, but as God will have it, I got both, and it was quite exciting. And that was now when I now moved into Chevron. So moving into Chevron, because I had a very strong project management certification, they originally started me with the pipeline engineering. I got to work as a pipeline engineer, but I was working as a pipeline engineer on a major capital project, and major in terms of dollar value was about $1.3 billion of a project. So that's quite huge. And from there, did the core pipelining, learning from others, and in less than 6 months I was given the responsibility of being in charge of a small portion of the project somewhere in the field, to oversee very experienced people and deliver on different aspects of the project. And for the subsequent 2 to 3 years that I stayed on that project, the roles just kept getting bigger. So even though it changed from project engineer to, a project manager, it just kept getting bigger and bigger on the scope. So the experience I had when I was doing that project management course helped me along the way, understanding risk management, balancing delivery of the value with the time, with managing the stakeholders. All that was very useful and helped me along on that. And then from there, moved from the engineering, did project management, and then moved into digital transformation, which is a quite interesting story
Yeah, I
in
mean,
itself.
I was going to get to that. So, how did digital
Now
transformation?
coming to the
Yeah, how
mix.
did you have become?
Exactly. So it for me it was interesting because I've always felt that even while doing the project management, the value that it appeared that I brought really strongly was my ability to understand how to use little tools from Excel. Excel is not little, but like the some of the things that are not necessarily core project management tools or core tools in that space that are digital, how they could simplify things. So like automate tasks, make things that would normally be manual, you can automate or get it done quickly
Yeah.
because the computer is doing it. So I was looking for opportunities to apply those kinds of techniques to the project management. And from the project management, while I was still focusing on those project management jobs, I was using things like focusing more on things like SharePoint, leveraging SharePoint to enable conversations between the different contractors, making sure that everyone was on the same page on things. I was automating some of the reports to make sure that the very senior project managers were able to get reports of my portions of the project on time and quickly. Then, of course, there was a bit of getting to know about cost engineering, like understanding how to manage cost, so that I could add more value from a project management standpoint. So that was there, but that kind of exposed me to Excel, and I could see all things Excel could do. And at some point, people now trusted that I knew so much about Excel that when the contractor brought an Excel spreadsheet that was looking suspicious, they could send it my way and I can delve into it, unlock it, or hack through whatever log they had placed through. What the formulas they had behind was in line with the contract. And all of that helped me to show early that even though I was not a senior person, there was something that I could bring. People could
There's this
trust.
value you could
Exactly.
bring
People could
to
trust that.
even better the business.
Exactly. And then if questions came in that space, they would refer them to me. One of my first digital transformation projects then was to simplify their supply chain reporting that normally took them 2 weeks. And we ended up getting it done in less than 10 seconds. Once you
Wow.
just run the report in less than 10 seconds, it pulls it from all the data sources, does the data transformation, and gets it in a format that the person who is going to make the decision will make the decision on. But normally it took 2 weeks. So I liked the idea and I'm like, okay. So from there, that's where the whole idea of digital transformation started. Even though digital transformation is very broad,
Yeah.
but this is more from a data standpoint. So from there, started doing some little projects within my function.
Because looking at it, I mean, that's what you were doing, or what you just explained is already data science.
Exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly. So, but at that time, I had never heard about data science. I didn't know what it was. And I just liked the whole idea that, okay, I could do this and you could see instant value. Managers wanted to know who I was. Everyone, everyone suddenly had issues that they just wanted to apply some magic. They'll just get it
And
done.
sometimes it can be annoying. Any small task or any small problem, they'll come and dump it.
It's all
There's this
exactly that
guy.
is exactly.
Solve your problem.
Exactly. And so from there, I did some things also for the reliability engineering side, and it was just going awesome. But I started doing even work that I did not want to do. PowerPoint slides from some manager that he wants to present it to the MD. It's important. Exactly that. This is digital now. You can do digital. Even very sensitive documents. Exactly. So with that, I got the privilege of taking also during that time period. There was this program that was run by GE and Africa Leadership University that was called Africa Industrial Internet Program. And it was supposed to be something, I think it's supposed to take us through digital engineering. I'd never heard about that before. I was like, okay, this looks like the combining digital with engineering. So it was part of it was done in South Africa, part of it was done remotely. You can do that from anywhere in the world. And I started that program and it exposed me. It was a 1 year program. It was very rigorous to apply and get accepted. And then I got in with 50% scholarship. And that was, I would say, I want to say there was one point that really transformed me from the core engineering to the digital transformation. It was that program.
program.
So
What do you call the
so
program then?
the program was, I say was because currently, to the best of my knowledge, it's not been offered, but for me and for all the people that took the program over a span of, I think, 3 to 4 years, it literally transformed every of our careers. And even if that program is not currently available, there are many programs like it, whether that's similar to, whether
I
that's
think we'll get to that
exactly.
at some point in this
Exactly.
conversation.
So, but for me, when I took that, they took me through the rudiments of Python, data, like it opened my eyes to data science. I had to read a lot of data related materials, a bit of software engineering, but now not from a theoretical all mass. I could see practical implications. You see people using it to determine who will win elections, using it to make machines not fail early. Like there was just so much value that I could see. And it didn't just stop at the data science. We also learned a bit of digital twin, how to do like what people call all this hologram and all. Yeah, applying that to engineering. And for that, my mind was literally blown. So after doing that program, one of it required us to do some projects in our company. And that's when I came back and I did some predictive analytics to predict, what the production it was going to be for crude within the office. And it originally looked like witchcraft, but like how it's not possible, but I was able to get that done. And for doing something that was considered really high profile like that, before I knew what was happening, they brought me back from the field back to the main office, and then more and more projects started. I became very everyone people got to know me more from the division standpoint. I started taking on lots of projects. Then I started organizing sessions to teach the entire division on digital transformation. Like, so we started leveraging things like, because the Chevron has a partnership with Microsoft, started leveraging our partnership with Microsoft to use the Power Platform, and from there teaching the different persons on how to use the different tools now made me, even everyone now knew who I was. I became the go-to person. I started taking on projects. And I think what now made like really solidified, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, was when after organizing a couple of these hackathons, even for my department, which was facilities engineering and major capital projects, moved into to do same for finance, helped out supply chain within Chevron on doing most of those their hackathons. And then in one of the sessions, in one of the hackathons, one of the ideas, we now presented that to the enterprise level at the corporate, and then it became a major hit. And they gave us some money to come and get that proof of concept, blow it up, and make it ready for everyone to use across the corporation. And that's now, so I have to come back and start working to get that done. And that kind of like solidified my whole, like, okay, this guy really knows what he's doing. And the digital transformation now became like legitimately. So I was still an engineer, but I think my title now changed from, I think, project to digital project engineer. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, that was the very first time those kind of titles were being given to people. Exactly. And then from there, so focused on helping the division systematize that whole digital transformation, set up digital steering committee, and it really marrying the world of the whole engineering with digital, and it was quite a big deal. And after then, that after I've done all that, even went to the point of doing some project on HoloLens, so they could wear it and have a glimpse of what our facilities were that were very far away from where we were. We could take virtual walkthrough, like it was quite, yeah, very. So it was during all those times that Accenture came calling. Of course, I had applied. It wasn't like I was sitting at Accenture came to meet me, So, but
So all those while, I mean, you were trying to get
exactly. And then when I applied, they really liked what I was doing. But what they had was the data science portion of it. But the unique thing is the group I work with in Accenture is the industrial analytics group. So I get to do the data science, but I also get to do all of these engineering things that I was doing before. So it was kind of best of both worlds. So that's kind of the journey.
Nice. Quite a long journey. It's interesting how, I mean, we've known each other for a while, and I'm enjoying this conversation. This is the first time I'm hearing detailed breakdown of your whole career journey. That's quite interesting. Especially to know that you've won many hats at various times or during your career: supply chain, project management, engineering, digital transformation, and now data science. I mean, I'm not sure this is something any average person can pull off, right? So, but for me, what I was going to ask is, what's the motivation? How did you pull all of this together? How did you pull it off?
Yeah.
Cut so for us. That's the one. Cut so for us.
So for me, it's originally from the place of not originally knowing what to do. Like, so for that, and that's why I said for people who are struggling with, oh, I don't know what to do, and they are confused. So for some people, they know they want to be medical doctors, so they want to be accountant. Why some people they're not sure, but they know that there's one problem they want to solve. So for me, it started that way. I just felt like I just want to be valuable wherever I find myself.
Yeah,
And
I like that. To
yeah,
add value
to
anywhere you
add
find yourself.
exactly. So that was where it started from. But I also know that you can add value in so many ways. So I now said, okay, you know what? Let me start with the opportunities that were around me. If it was the case that maybe there was a different kind of opportunity that was around me, maybe my career journey would have been different.
Yeah.
For example, in FUT Mina, I had the opportunity of AfriHub that were offering certification in Oracle data and all. And I took that, and somehow eventually it now made sense when I was doing the Power BI, something that I mentioned earlier. So the key thing for me was I wanted to add value. And I think, like someone said, if you want to travel from Lagos to Abuja in the night, you cannot stay in Lagos and see all the road to Abuja. You have to, first of all, start moving. If you're on a bus or in a car, you have to start moving. And as you're moving, the light will show you the next few steps. You move, go. When you move there, the light will show you the next few, and you deal with it as you get to that point. Even though yes, you might have your general plan, but life will surprise you in different ways, and just be flexible. So for me, it was more of a case of I just wanted to add value, but I wanted to take advantage of the opportunities that came, that gave me the opportunities that I had available to me at that time. And as I kept doing it, I now found out that okay, I liked the place of combining business with technology. So I was like, okay, I like combining business with technology, but I have an engineering degree. So that's why I was like, okay, project management can help me do some things. Technology, I was now learning some things on YouTube, and little by little, with when the AIIP, the one I mentioned about digital engineering came up, somehow I was finding a way to combine them. So I wasn't really looking at the place of, okay, this is supply chain, this is project management. At the end of the day, I just wanted to see how can I use technology to help business people solve problems. And that until today,
That's still the
what
mindset.
that drives me. So even in the data science, even though my title now is data science, I still learn things that will help me apply different skill sets, including technology mostly, but using different aspects of technology to solve real world problems. Now, of course, there are so many things that I don't know, but I try as much as I can. If I'm in the room where people are discussing, I can add new flavors to help people see problems differently and solve it faster. So that's kind of the motivation for me.
All right, that's another interesting take. Thanks so much for sharing that. So let's move to the next question. Um, During the point of your transition into data science, I mean full transition, right? Were there courses you took? And I mean, what courses did you? Apart from, I know you mentioned the ALU,
Mhm.
and at some point the Oracle,
Mhm.
Oracle, right? I mean, are there other courses that you took
Okay,
that you can advise?
advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, it was like one, like I mentioned originally, the opportunity. So the Oracle, at the time I was learning the Oracle and SQL,
Yeah.
I did not foresee that there was something called data science or what, it was just database administrator at the time. And that now helped me when I was doing other things. So for anyone who is interested in data science, I know you will hear a lot about go and learn Python, R, which is great. But
Python,
exactly,
Power BI.
exactly, there are so many things. It looks like you have to learn what a team should learn. Only you should learn it before you get opportunities. But the very first thing I will advise that you learn is SQL.
Yeah.
SQL is straightforward. I know some people say, "Oh, SQL." They after they've learned Python, they feel SQL is difficult. But if you can start with SQL, or even if you've learned Python and all, if you want to really do well in data science, SQL needs to be your friend because SQL is the language of data. So even if you are going to be using Python, using something in the data science world, which is called object relational mappers, where you don't need to know SQL and you just write Python and it will get you the data, underneath it, it uses SQL. And you will come across some kind of data sources that your object relational mappers might not connect well. And it's only if you understand SQL that you'll be able to deal with those situations. So for beginners, if you have not started in the data science world, for starters, SQL needs to be your friend. Structured query language is easy to learn and you can use it on all. And I mean, not well, now that we have many unstructured data sets, SQL might have some flavors that deal with that, but everything still uses SQL. SQL is very powerful and you will use it for the foreseeable career of your data journey. Now, for when I took the Oracle Database Administrator, so the administrator certification, it really helped me because it built my background in SQL all the way. And then when I now started after the ALU AIIPA Africa Industrial Internet Program, that also helped. But the key things that I now used afterwards was I wasn't exactly sure whether my experience, because I now had lots of experience at Chevron, working very hard on the digital transformation projects I mentioned, but I wasn't sure employers were going to take me seriously. So I had applied for a part-time program in business analytics at Imperial College London.
At what point was this?
So this was when I had done a lot of this digital transformation project and I had gotten to the point where I was now beginning to look outside. I saw like I really wanted to go very big. I wanted to move into a top role in a very prestigious company.
Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation so far, especially for you guys that want to transition into tech as a data scientist. Right, for me so far, I've picked up a few things from Truth, which are one, the attributes. Right, it's not just enough to want to be in a field, or it's not enough to just have a job. Is the main thing is for you to seek new ways to add value, right? Which I think I've mentioned that in one of my videos. Add value. I mean, I can't stress this enough. Add value so that the people you are working with or the people you are reporting to or whatever, they see the kind of value you are bringing, and it will be very difficult for you to be replaced. And not just like, it will be very difficult for them not to promote you or or get you bigger opportunities. See, you've not arrived wherever you are. Even me as I am, I've not arrived. I'm still trying to grow more, right? So always seek new opportunities. Always seek better ways to grow yourself and your career. So let's go to this next question, choose, which I think is the very interesting part of this conversation, especially for newbies. How much data scientists and on the average?
Okay. So data scientists typically earn depending on the industry, depending on what they are actually doing.
You want to answer this?
I will definitely answer.
Politicians, that's how they will be beating around the bush like this. Give us,
Okay. So if you are in the US, it's typically going to be 3 digits. So it's going to be between say 100 to 120, depending also
annum,
per annum.
grand,
Yes,
thousand,
yes,
annum,
yes. 100 to $120,000 per annum gross, because
that's
yes,
before tax.
before tax. And that's
Because people do that mistake a lot. So when they see the 120,000 per year, only me, okay, you go pay that.
yeah, let's get to it.
That is gross.
So yeah, so that's the US, and now that's because in the US things, everything is like pay is high, everything is really high, and now it also now depends on whether you're working for a consulting firm, you're working for big tech, you're working for normal other industries, but typically the minimum you will be expected to earn in the US should be nothing less than 100 upwards. So For some, once they begin to add equity and all, you might even hit
more than
150, 200 and all. Now, in the UK, it's slightly different because in the UK, salaries are generally on the lower side, especially because many services may have been, they are already provided for, and as such they don't earn as much. But typically, also depending on whether you're working for consulting companies or big tech, it's going to be between the range of 40 to 65 now,
£1,000
£1,000
per
gross. So
year.
before they now remove the net. Now, if you're heading towards the 60 to 65, that's when you're going into big tech. So when you're talking of the Facebook, the Googles, Amazons, and all that. Now, all of these I've mentioned are base. So you still have to, depending on the packages, exactly your negotiation, you can exactly. So if it's the FANG companies, or is it the manga now as it is called, you would also have equity, you would have some other bonuses. Typically in consulting firms, there will be the base, then there will be the bonus, then there will be. So with that, that will give you an idea of what it is that you would earn. So in terms of, it's not necessarily that data scientists would earn significantly above every other person else. It's just that the beauty of the data science is you can work in multiple industries. So you can start in one industry and like up to what everybody else is earning, even though you're just new in that industry, move into another industry and still be relevant and keep growing. So that's the value that the data science gives from a financial standpoint.
Okay, okay. I mean, thanks for the clue. Thanks for the figures, right? I hope you guys watching have picked the figures at least. For some people, that should be a motivation to switch or apply or do. I mean, just make that move, right? So what are the tools or platforms that are relevant for newbies that are coming
Coming
into
in.
uh, data science?
Yeah. Okay, so for new persons coming in, the key things I have alluded before, but I think there might be some other things I may not have mentioned before. So know SQL. There are different flavors of SQL. Pick any one. You don't need to know all, because once you know one, in the real world, you will see a different version of SQL, and then you can learn whatever is useful. It's easy to transition, but just pick one and know it very well. Then know Python. Now, there's the debate, or is it Python or R? I'm not going to tell you choose this or not choose this. I can only tell you from my experience.
Yeah.
And my experience was I started with Python and it was very relevant to me.
Did it bite you? Did it bite you? For most people, most people are this Python. It's not for me, it's biting me. I'll jump it.
so so Python I picked because I felt it was easy to learn, and a couple of YouTube videos, and I became very good in it. Now at this point that I now lead people that are data scientists, I also have to pick R. So I now know Python and R, and I know SQL. And of course, there are some other key things depending on the fields that you want to go into. So if you're going into the area of data science that are related to optimization, you might want to pick up some libraries that are related to optimization. So whether, for example, there are standard industry packages, like you have one called Gurobi. There are different ones, but there's the one that I highly recommend, which is something called OR Tools. It's a Python package, but it's a very key library to learn if you would want to do optimization. For those who are learning data science, you would learn that. I don't want to go into details. Then, very importantly, I had mentioned before, learn a cloud platform, whether that is Microsoft, Google, Amazon. So that's Azure, AWS, GCP. There are other ones. There's Alibaba, there's IBM. But I would say if you focus on any
Just
of these
pick
three,
one of them.
yeah, just one, it
At
would
least to
really
start
help you.
with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you go into whatever industry, you
Then
can learn
know
whatever they are
which
using.
one is peculiar to
Exactly.
them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then, very importantly, if you can, learn something that can be used to relate with big data. And one of the good examples is Spark. So depending on your flavor of your learning, if you're learning through Python or through R, you can pick the version. So since my first love was Python, I go through I go through Spark using PySpark. So learn PySpark, learn all of these little things. Now there are so many other things that you can pick. So for me, because I kind of did some automation, I learned PowerShell, Bash scripting to be able to write codes at the command line to solve some things quickly before taking it into Python. And never ever underestimate Excel. Excel is your friend. You must learn Excel. Now, don't necessarily learn Excel to become an expert in Excel, but once in a while, you will find out that no matter the data that you're using, you want to do some simple common sense checks with Excel. And if you know Excel to an advanced level, it would really help you, especially because for many clients that you're dealing with, the interface they will most likely deal with some of your results will still be in Excel. So you want to present it in a way that makes the most sense to them. Now, there are so many other ways that other things that they can learn. But I would say for now, if you can pick these key things, you will do very well in your data science career.
Okay, that will lead me to this question, which is talking about coding. So, from this conversation so far, I've heard coding a number of times,
Mm.
and I've also seen situations or instances where people talk about data science and them having a coding background. So, my question is, which has been the fear of some people, or most people I do talk to that
Mhm.
want to be data scientists, that do they need to know how to code, or must they code? Because for some people, that's the fear of coming into data science. I want to basic Excel,
Mhm.
right? I want
Mhm.
to do it, or basic Python, or
Mhm.
all of that. Must I know how to code?
So the answer is yes and no. Now, let me start with the no portion. The no portion is in the early days when data science was beginning to grow, it was very necessary for you to know how to code because we didn't have so many solutions that now have simplified the data science experience.
Okay, okay, I
But
get that.
now there are many possibilities. You can actually go into data science without necessarily being an expert coder. And that's because you now have a new era of things called low code, no code solutions. So the solutions are low code, meaning even if you code, the code you'll be doing is
It
like
won't
Excel,
be
kind of, you are writing
manual.
Excel, exactly, very little, or no code, you won't
You
code
don't need
anything
support
at
at all.
all.
Now that one I want.
Exactly. So, and these days, it's even becoming, and that's also like, will I say, is a warning to those who want to become data scientists. You need to be relevant to a point where you know both the low code and no
And no
code,
code.
and then if you have know the coding one, because a time will come, the person you want to help to apply data science to solve their problem will do some data science things that will even surprise you because they are using no code, so they can get things done faster. So I will explain what I mean. So there are, for example, in Microsoft Power Platform, you have many of these tools I mentioned before using Power BI. You can do some interesting, though it will fall under business intelligence,
Yeah.
but it still is closely related to what would be expected as an output from data scientists. You can do certain things. You can connect to Python. And all that is drag and drop. You are not coding anything. Then there's something called KNIME. It's spelled KNIME. You can do end-to-end data science without coding on KNIME. All you do is, okay, provided you have the general idea of what you want to do. Oh, I want to take in this data. I want to clean it by removing this. You just drag the module for taking data, module for removing something, and by the time it gets to the end, it will show you the prediction without any coding. Now, of
Nice.
course, if you know how to code, you can now go in and say, oh, I want to customize it to
Suit what
suit
I'm
what
doing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the same thing too with all the cloud engineering solutions, they have so many low code, no code within the cloud engineering solution. So Azure, for example, they have something called ML Studio. You can actually do a powerful enterprise solution without any code. You just drag, drop, connect the thing like that, looks like spaghetti, connect them, and the output, feed it to something else, and the whole organization is relying on that. It's robust and full data solution. So with that, if let's say as a data scientist, you are going to support supply chain or marketing, and the marketing manager knows how to use all these things, they just do the drag and drop, put in whatever impressions they are getting. It predicts what the conversion rates will look like, and they are fine. And you, as a data scientist, if you don't know how to do that, or you don't even know how to write in the code, then you have to explain your value to the marketing manager. But the marketing manager can do that even better than you. So that's why I said, for starters, know the cloud tools, because the cloud tools actually will make your life a lot easier. Then, like I said, if you want to get in, if you learn tools like Nine, you pick up those cloud tools, you can actually begin a career in data science without necessarily knowing how to code. However, if you now want to rise and really grow to a point, for example, where you want to, like, definitely if you are looking at a manga company, you cannot, I can say this, please, you can never run away from code. No, nobody's going to take you. So it's more in industries that there's a shot at, doing this at.
My own take out from that is, which I think I've always said is, it's better to have a skill relevant to your background or relevant to your career, have it and not need it, than need it and
And
not
not
have
have
it.
it,
Right. So
yes,
I think
yes.
that's the summary for me. So let's go to this next question. Just briefly, what is describe a day in the life of a typical data scientist?
Yeah, so typically for data scientists, it's not just all about coding. Even though you will code at some point, but
You will code,
you will, you will see code depending on the situation. So it's good, like you mentioned, have it and not need it, because many in the real world of data science, it's not always coding. You'll be more of a business advisor. You will sit in many business meetings where they are talking about their problems, and majority of what you do as a data scientist is converting the business problem to a data science problem, and then using data science tools to solve data science problem. And once you've gotten your result, converting the result back to how it will solve the original the business problem that you had at hand. So for those who might be interested, you can go and check something called data science life cycle. That is not a joke. In your day to day, that is what you will be doing. You go into meetings. You won't go into the meetings shouting Python, R. No, you go into the meetings, the manager, the CEO, they are talking about real problems. Oh, we've not had sales for the past 3 months. We want to know what is causing this, how we want to expand into a new market. What do we need to do to be able to increase sales in so exactly. So those are the real business problems that people will have. And then you need to be able to take that in and even ask yourself, do I need data science to solve it? Because it's not all problems that are data science problems. Some problems Excel can do it. You can just use a bar chart and pie chart and it's enough. So you being a good data scientist is being able to transform all these business problems into the different formats of data science problems, know which ones are even data science and which one just should be solved normally, and then being able to use the tools to solve. So this is actually how an average day goes. You do a lot of reporting, you do a lot of coding, you do a lot of modeling, but like I said, you will always attend lots of meetings where you are expected to be a problem solver. You hear problems and you be and think of solutions. Exactly. And then when you come out and you're giving them the solutions, you won't be giving them solutions of, oh, the linear regression model. No, you're giving them solutions of, based on the problem that we have, there's something called data storytelling. You take the story that the problem they've said, you may do some nice PowerPoint slides and show how the solutions will be, and then back it up with data in the appendix. And if someone is interested, you can take them through the appendix, but high level summary of, this is the problem, this is the approach we use, this is our solution. And typically, that's how the typical day of an average data scientist would be.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that. Let's move to the last couple of questions, which should be the last set, right? If you're watching, thanks so far for sticking with us, right? And I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Please remember to subscribe to this channel by clicking on that icon, and also click the bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. And not just that, please share this video with your network, people that will benefit from this conversation, especially data science enthusiasts. My next question will be around opportunities for data scientists. So, do you think that there are more opportunities for data scientists than in Nigeria than outside of Nigeria, say in Europe? And the next, let me add another part of that question, which would be: are there platforms you suggest for data scientists that are looking for remote roles? Yeah.
So what I'll say is, first of all, before you even get to data science, you need to have data. So the challenge with roles in Nigeria is, before now, Nigeria does not normally have like a robust standardized system for collecting data and you can actually go and access it. Now, with the advent of things like BVN, NIN, where we are beginning like collecting things from a national level, there that will create more and more opportunities for data scientists, because you can't be a data scientist if there is no data. And that's where our brothers that people don't really mention, the data engineers, they come in very valuable. So even though data science is quite interesting, data engineers are actually even more valuable, because data engineers play in the space where there is even no data, and they create the pipelines to collect the data. Why data scientists now work on when the data is not available, and some data scientists can pick up some data engineering skills. So if we're talking about the data science in Nigeria, it's not so much. Now, and the reason is because of what I said before in terms of paucity of data, it's not really available. Now, however, with the advent of many of the measures the government is taking and putting in place, BVN, NIN, everyone is now becoming more aware of data privacy laws. They want to collect data, they want to own data, they want to make sure govern. NITDA an excellent job in that regard. So we are now beginning to see that there is more conversations around the data, and more roles are coming up. But the people who are still the key leaders in the like still having roles for data scientists still remain banks, financial services institutions. So if you're interested in doing data science in Nigeria, most likely you might want to be looking at telecommunication companies, financial services companies. They're the ones that might be your best bet. Now you still have oil and gas companies are also offering opportunities for data scientists. So more and more companies are having them. However, if you're looking at a global data science career, my brothers, my sisters, you need to look outside. You need to look outside, because for many of the developed countries, they've had long histories where they've, gotten in data, kept them, and managed them in different ways. And then you coming as a data scientist, it's like a world of information that is at your fingertips and you can use. So if you have the opportunity to take advantage of them, please do, because when coming as a data scientist, there's nothing more frustrating than coming as a data scientist and people expect you to do data engineering, data science, data everything. Like only you are the team. Yeah, so you want to be in an environment where there are other people, players in that space that will help you. So in terms of platforms, I would say that for me, I leveraged LinkedIn jobs.
Okay.
There are lots of jobs. So for me, I would type in the country I was looking at, the of interest, type in the role I was interested in, and then you just see lots of them. So I use that a lot. Then I use Indeed.com. So I go there. I use Glassdoor. Glassdoor, people may know it for checking salary expectation, but I also jobs exactly. So that was very useful for me, and that was because I was looking at going outside of the country, and they were extremely useful. Glassdoor, exactly. So those were platforms I use. Then in terms of remote, these ones I've mentioned, LinkedIn jobs, Indeed, Glassdoor, they also have, you see where remote options you can choose. But you might also want to consider some of these, I think they call work. Um, I can't remember what that one is called, where people can do freelancing. There are lots of all these freelancing sites you can also get. But ideally, data science, you would want to be in a space, with other players rather than just staying outside. Unless you're now a fully established consultant, you know the whole workflow. You can just be consulting as a service. So yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks. Wow, okay. I can't believe we spent this long on this interview. I wasn't expecting it to be this long, but then it's fine. I really enjoyed the conversation so far. Thank you so much, Chief, for taking our time out of your very busy schedule to be on this video, right? And I hope you've enjoyed the conversation so far. I hope you've been able to pick and learn one or two things from Chooks, right? Especially with respect to what you should do, right, to better yourself as a budding data scientist, and more importantly, the platforms you should be looking at, the skills and courses and all of those you need to pick. So let's round up with this last question, which is for the benefit of my viewers. I know you like mentoring early career folks, right? And are you open to mentorship, right? And how can people reach you? How can people who want to take you on as mentor? How can they reach you?
Okay, so yeah, in terms of mentorship, yes, I enjoy sharing the little that I know, and that's because I've gotten to the point that I am because somebody chose to share some of the little they know.
Yeah.
I've been privileged to have many mentors, whether informally and otherwise or formally. I've been privileged to have that. So I definitely want to also share that same love.
Which is what we are.
Yeah,
It's part of
exactly what
why
I'm
we are
doing.
here. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but in terms of a more direct mentoring relationship, I am open to that. However, there are certain conditions that I look at if I ever want to have a direct mentoring relationship with someone. And the reason is because in terms of my day job, it's
Yeah.
extremely hectic. Like I'm doing a part-time master's, trying to balance that and doing the whole catching up on the data science world that never stops ending. So I typically work well with people that are driven. And when I mean driven, I don't mean those kind of driven where people say, oh, I am a driven person. No,
It's not by
it's
mouth.
not mouth. Like you actually, I need to see that the person takes initiative, the person is doing the work. So I mentor lots of people currently, but it's more of a case of I call like when we have conversations, when I give them pointers, they run with it, they are accountable. Exactly. And then, they give me updates. Okay, this is what I've done with things. This is where this is the achievements I've made on this. And they share their successes and failures. So it's not like they must be super champions. It's okay to be vulnerable. But most importantly, the person has to be accountable for themselves. Like they have to want to put in their best. So as long as I see that the person is driven, the person is accountable, the person is okay to share their strengths and weaknesses, and the person wants to learn, then definitely I'll be very happy to mentor such persons, whether male, female, experienced, non-experienced, old, young. As long as the person meets this criteria and the person is willing to, to learn, of course. Then also the person must realize that I'm not an expert. There are so many things I don't know. So it's going to be a learning journey also. I learn from them.
They should consider the fact that you are busy.
Exactly,
So,
very
you want
busy.
to also be always be open.
Exactly. So I may, depending on what my mentoring schedule is looking like, if it becomes so much after watching this program, people call me that my mentoring is not so much. I may have to say, okay, you know what? Let's take it one step at a time. Maybe I might exactly. Maybe we might not do it in batches and all that, but for me, being able to give back to community really makes me happy. It's something that I consider it a privilege to share the little that I know.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you so much, Chooks. Thank you so much, guys. You heard that. If you want to contact Chooks, his LinkedIn,
Yes.
his name on LinkedIn is displayed on the screen, and also in the video description. You just look at the video description for the link to his LinkedIn profile. Connect with him on LinkedIn. Send him a DM. Send him a message on LinkedIn. Right, a connection request first, and send him a message, and we'll get back. He'll get to you in due
Definitely.
time. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching so far, Chooks. Once again, thanks for being on the show. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And that's it. That's it for today on this edition. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.